Hi everybody. I just returned a few days ago from Dinosaur National Monument, Echo Park Campground. It's a place I've been wanting to go for quite a while. It's a place I've been wanting to go actually since Fenn gave his last interview, the one I think was Nightline, maybe back in November, December, January, February, whatever it was. It was the famous interview where at the end of it he said to simplify. And at the very end of the interview, it was the only clue he would give. You know, he did his usual interview where he said, well, I don't want to talk about that, and I don't want to talk about this, and I don't rather not say about that. And then at the end he goes, I've said too much. I always love that. But then at the end of this particular interview, he did say, simplify. So I simplified. And I mean, I really simplified because I convinced myself that when I did my Vermilion Creek hunt, that when he said simplify, I said, well, that's the exact opposite of what I did with the Vermilion Creek hunt, because for those of you that have watched it, I mean, I found the medicine wheel and I found all the symbols within the medicine wheel and what the symbols meant. And the inner symbol of the wheel meant fireplace, and the larger symbol, which was TP, and of course we're all looking for the blaze. And by the way, these videos are for people that are into the Fenn hunt and know the language. I had a funny experience the other day. Someone said, well, are you a Fenner? And I said, I guess so. And she said, well, do you speak Fenn? And I understand what she was saying. You know, you want to, I'm hopefully dealing with people watching this that understand the references I'm making. So the blaze, of course, is the thing we're all looking for. And when he said to simplify, I thought about the kid in India. Hey, Bill. I thought about the kid in India who should be able to, a little kid should be able to look at a map of the United States and the Rockies and see where warm waters halt. See the first two clues, which I just take to be where warm waters halt. Take the canyon down. Take it in the canyon down. And so I did that. And I did it with and I cleared my mind of all the esoteric stuff, all of the medicine wheels and what they mean, and you know, the history of things. And I just kind of said, let's just look at the map like a map, like Fenn has said a number of times. Just look at it like a map. So I did. Now, I'm not quite sure why I started back up. I guess it's, to me, such a wonderful where warm waters halt that I did find myself again using Flaming Gorge. And I had been in that area. And I still think the area of Colorado is a rich area for this to be in. A lot of people don't like Colorado. They kind of, some people have inferred that Fenn's never really been in Colorado or been much in Colorado. He never really writes about Colorado. That in a way intrigues me because, of course, I was surprised to find out one time that he had rented a condo or a couple of properties in Colorado. And that only came out when someone directly asked him if he had been in Colorado. And he said, well, yeah, I've been there when I've rented some properties, I think for his daughter or something, or when she was in school. So it's not like he doesn't know Colorado. And when you're talking about the Green River, you're talking about one of the great fishing rivers of the West. And of course, a large part of the Green River is in Colorado. So I think Fenn's been in Colorado. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then after that, it's just a matter of how much importance you want to put on that as being part of the, you know, a place that he would, I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by my cat as usual, that he would be interested in putting the treasure. That having been said, I again started at Flaming Gorge. Now, I'm just looking at the map. I'm looking at it very simply after Fenn does this interview. And you leave the Flaming Gorge. Of course, you take this long canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk. You can see this down here. We're looking at 200 feet. Whoops. You go 15, 20 miles. You come across here. You know, lots of outlaw stuff, lots of Western lore. You keep taking the Green River down. And then suddenly, when you get into Colorado, you run across Browns Park National Wildlife Refuge. More than a number of people have mentioned they think this is their home of Browns. So there is one other candidate for where warm water is home, and that is Cold Spring Mountain. The Cold Spring Mountain doesn't really fit take canyon down unless I guess you take this canyon. And then, I don't really see it, no. I prefer Flaming Gorge. I prefer Flaming Gorge. Over here. So you're going from Flaming Gorge, you're taking the canyon down, you're going all the way into Colorado, and then hit Browns Park National Wildlife Refuge. You put in below the home of Brown. Pretty simple so far. I was on familiar ground, having been out to Vermilion Creek, which is up north of here. And then I'm looking for, from there it's no place for the meek. And I'm just looking for anything that refers to meek or anything. Here's the Green River. Here's the canyon of the Green River. And I see over to the side here, Wild Mountain. And I'm thinking, Wild Mountain, that's certainly no place for the meek. Wild. Now, admittedly, I'm using words here metaphorically. I guess, is that the right way to say it? I'm not, and it probably is rough country, but I'm not taking it literally. And from there, it's, the end is ever drawing near. And I realize there's a Wild Mountain south. Now at this point, I'm starting to feel like I'm being more or less directed, which is what Fenn had kind of inferred the map was going to do for you anyway. You start out at Flaming Gorge, you take the canyon down, then you get into Colorado, and suddenly, here's Brown, a reference to Brown, so you put in. So you're in the canyon going down the Green River. I've always taken this poem to be talking about a person starting out at wherever warm water is home, and then being in a river or a creek, in this case a river, taking a canyon down, following landmarks, so to speak. Now Fenn has made it very clear he didn't do this physically. He said to someone in an interview, kind of almost irritated, he said, I wasn't 80 years old, I wasn't going down a canyon. But if you're looking at a map, and which is he said consistently you're supposed to be doing, then you can do it that way. So let's say we're following the river down, but we're also looking for something that makes some reference to no place for the meek or the opposite. Well, no place for the meek would be the opposite. Wild Mountain North. So what does that do? It kind of redirects me over to here. Almost as if I'm on a map, going down to here, and all of a sudden I'm told, come over here, jog over here. The end is ever coming, the end is ever drawing nigh. There'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. So I'm thinking the end is ever drawing nigh is going from here to Wild Mountain South. And then you're looking for a creek. And you can see how this has been kind of a wild, you know, it's been, you kind of come down, you're kind of following this, you go over here to keep being kind of directed, like Swerge over here says, keep going in this direction. Keep in mind, folks, just using this as a map. Almost as if someone was just trying, you know, they're trying to get you to a very, very specific point. And they're having to use landmarks that already exist on a map to get you to this specific point. It's not like they can go out to Google Earth or Google Maps and write in the directions. So even though this seems a little odd, this person, Fenn, is having to take what he's given to kind of direct you. And so in my opinion, he's doing that with these clues. So you're at Wild Mountain North, and you're at Wild Mountain South. So what's the next thing? There'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. Well, the next creek I saw that admittedly made sense to me, and when I say admittedly, it's because I'm sure you could go all over and find creeks and say, well, why didn't you go over here? Why didn't you go over there? Because I felt I was following at the time a kind of direction, and the direction had me going towards Echo Park Campground. And sure enough, when I got to Echo Park Campground, I found something that wasn't really noticeable, so I kind of studied. I found Pool Creek. Pool Creek is, in fact, a dry creek. No paddle needed up your creek. I've always been drawn to this area, too, because it has petroglyphs, and a lot of people think the Blaze is petroglyphs. That probably was in the back of my mind. But again, to me, it's like he's still guiding you down the Green River. And he's kind of, even though he's going over to side areas like Wild Mountain North and South. So when you see like Wild Mountain North and South, you can see he's kind of with broad strokes, he's still taking you down the river, but he's kind of guiding you along this path. So then we find ourselves in the Echo Park Campground at Pool Creek. You keep going down the river until you hit a creek, and you hit Pool Creek. We have the famous petroglyphs there that a lot of people think petroglyphs are the Blaze. We have famous Whispering Cliff, Cave, Pat Straw. All of this are in my videos because I visited this. Whispering Cave is a trip, let me tell you. You'll see it when I get there. It is so freaking cold. It is abnormal. It's unnatural. I mean, in a weird way, it's like a Blaze because you're in the days I was there just recently, it was in the upper 70s. I wasn't hot. I'd say it's probably because of walking around a lot, I was warm. I go walking into this little cave, it's like, you'll see it. I'll go in it, and then a family shows up and they're in it. And everyone's reaction is the same as mine. This place is freezing cold. It's really strange. I mean, it's like somehow this whole thing has created a very cold chamber there, and it's a completely open cave. Right out here, it's neat. It's not only an open cave, but there's like a little seat, a little rock, natural. This big rock that you can sit on almost like a bench. I can just imagine Indians back in the day on really hot days in the middle of summer just coming here and hanging out. It's really quite fantastic. So anyway, there'll be no paddle up your creek, Pool Creek, so you continue going, just heavy loads and water high. Now this is where I thought it got really interesting, and some people are going to laugh at me. And I wonder if anyone notices what I notice as we keep going down the river here. Okay, we're continuing down the river. Heavy loads and water high. Heavy loads and water high. Well, what do we have here? Iron Man draw heavy loads and water high. Now, I know what some of you are saying. You're saying that's not really correct because Warm Springs is down here. See? This is the cliff at Warm Springs, but it's called Warm Springs Cliff. So I thought to myself, it was a very aha moment. It was very kind of simplistic thinking, keeping it simple, maybe like a kid would think.